Hi, and welcome to freedomwithequity.com. I'm your host, Andrew MacDonald. So, what is equity, or specifically equity jurisprudence? Well, summarizing Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, and we use the 6 because it's considered by many as the commercial law dictionary. It firstly says that jurisprudence is the study of. Okay, so with equity jurisprudence, it would be the study of equity. And equity itself is justice administered to fairness or as fairness. In other words, a more fair way of administering justice. Then we look up that word equitable in Burton's Legal Thesaurus. We used 4th edition. It really helps the word equity stand out from other law forms because it uses words such as honorable, impartial, sorry, incorrupt, incorruptible. Well, if those are synonyms for equitable or equity, then what does that say for other law forms such as admiralty maritime law or even common law, since much of the common law is based on case law, which I'm sure we've all heard can be corruptible and even biased. So, since we're on definitions of words we use that are so important, let's summarize a few more. The word account. Account is on Black's Law Dictionary, a detailed statement of the mutual demands and nature of debit and credits between the parties. Well, then we look up a sub definition of that and look at account rendered, an account made out by the creditor and presented to the debtor for his examination and acceptance. When accepted, it becomes an account stated. Anytime and someone mails you or puts a bill in front of you, they are rendering the account. Credit card statements, loan statements, mortgage statements, vehicle loan statements, small business administration statements. Those are all public debts. It could be from other things as well. So, well, what's an account stated? An account stated is an agreed balance between the parties to a settlement. Now, this is where I have to differ off from a lot of the other people out there talking about debts and validating the debt and so forth. Well, to begin with, they really don't have to validate the debt because they most likely have your signature on something. And a lot of people, someone said to me yesterday, well, they didn't sign anything for that credit card. Well, they got your agreement somehow, most likely a checkbox on the internet, possibly, and even that is considered your signature by definition. So we need to cover something else here with equity is that equity does not argue the facts, the law, the jurisdiction, the venue of any matter. So if they put that account rendered in front of us to become an account stated, that's exactly what it is. And it's a agreed balance between the parties. Why, you say? How can that happen? Well, most of you have probably heard that in the United States, the Constitution and many around the constitutions around the world say nothing but gold and silver are to be used for the payment of debts. Well, then in this country and again all around the world, why do we have in the United States Federal Reserve notes? Other central banks around the world is what I meant to say. Federal Reserve notes in our wallets and purses, those green things, colorable. Look up that word. They're certainly not gold and silver. And since 1971, under Nixon, they're no longer even backed by gold and silver. They're backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. In other words, us. We are the commercial energy behind those debt instruments. But the bottom line is they are a debt instrument. We'll go deeper into that in another video in this series. But the bottom line, common sense would tell us that we can't pay for anything these days. All debts, public debts, are discharged dollar for dollar in accordance with HJR 192 back from June 5th, 1933, which has been promulgated as in public laws since then. I'm going to skip one of those account words coming up here, the last one, and we're going to go to discharge since I've been bringing that up. Um, and again, this is for public debts, not private debts. Your neighbor loans you a $100 bill. You got to give a $100 bill back or whatever the agreement was. It was in interest or in something else. But we're not going to discharge private debt like that with equity. So let's look at the word debt discharge, page 463 in Black 6th. It means to release, to liberate, annul, unburden, disencumber, dismiss. A lot of us like to hear case dismissed. Okay, well, there it is. It's been discharged. Now let's look at discharge in regard to equity practice. In the process of counting before a master in chancery, which is anyone who can take an oath, The discharge is a statement of expenses and counterclaims brought in and filed by way of set-off by the accounting defendant, which follows the charge and order. So there's a lot to read there in a pretty short definition, but to explain that, first of all, that word is. It doesn't say maybe or can be considered or if somebody wakes up the right side of the bed or the sky turns green. No, it says is. It also has some major words in there like set off and following the charge and order by the accounting defendant. Huge words. Of course, it's going to follow the charge and order. You get charged, so a charge needs to be discharged. Well, equity tells us how to do that, and this is what discussions we'll go back on at a later time. So let's go back to account and talk about account settled, one in which the balance has been in fact paid. Well, we just pretty much made good evidence that we can't pay for anything these days. Every public debt has to be discharged, not paid. Because again, our constitutions say gold and silver. Well, certainly not gold and silver when the top of the so-called money has Federal Reserve note at the top of it, screaming at us that it's not money, it's a debt instrument. Well, they had to give us a remedy when they did that way back then, and equity knows that remedy, and so do we know that remedy at freedomwithequity.com. So I would suggest you go to freedomwithequity.com, become a member. In there, you'll see as we grow in this video series, but also information on courses that we offer in learning this and how equity jurisprudence can be used to solve just about any matter in commerce that may come put in front of you under attack or and other ways. So, and this is not about getting out of things. Equity is, as I mentioned in that equitable synonyms, is honorable. This is an honorable way to take care of commercial issues without arguing, go into peace. It's not about fighting or validating the debt. So visit us at freedomwithequity.com. Look forward to seeing you again. Take care now.